Are we live?
We are technically live.
All right.
There we go. We
Cool.
are currently live.
Oh, fabulous. It's super exciting. Okay.
So,
Okay.
I need to turn off the air conditioner.
Oh, okay.
So,
Kind of jerky. Is that normal?
I think it is for us.
Okay. That's exciting.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the the Asphalt Nomads Sunday live show. Let's see, we have Eric O. Welcome back, and
He was the first one.
yeah,
Ah.
well, first, and Ali Cabellas. I think I know her. The big fat mama diaries. Hey. And so last week we had so the camera's I should say the monitor's a little far away from me, so I'm squinting just to read it.
Oh, hey, they can't hear our AC, so if we get too hot, we can turn it back on.
Oh, okay, great.
That's super cool because it's going to be a warm day.
That is good. I know that there is a delay, a slight delay, I think, in everything, and so you know what would help?
What?
If we do not watch the feed,
That would be
because
fabulous.
watching the feed,
It's too hard.
it's too
It's way
hard
too
for
hard.
us. Yeah. So the feed is turned off. We can still see the chat. So welcome everyone to the second episode of Asphalt Nomads live Sunday lunch show, coffee talk hour.
That's a name.
It's the full name, you know.
All right.
And so last week, let me take these off. Last week we just tried it out. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. But last week Katie was not with us because
No.
she had some family business to take care of.
I was playing D&D, so.
She was playing Dungeons and Dragons, folks. That was more important. So.
Well, to be fair, you just spontaneously did it.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So.
That's true. I didn't let you know about the stream beforehand. So, in any case, we have attempted to fix the audio. There were some audio issues, and so I'd like to know if you can hear me. If you can hear both of us, that would be great. And hello, Terry Horn. Welcome to the broadcast. And. So Katie,
Yes.
why don't you say something so people know if they can hear you?
Oh, yeah. Can you guys hear me? And yes, we are still in Florida. We're hanging out in Central Florida right now.
Yeah, we probably should be here.
Probably a little while longer.
Yeah, well, we are going to try to see the eclipse.
Yeah, that we are.
So we are planning a trip to see the eclipse, probably South Carolina, because it's closest from here. But probably September. I think we'll be moving out of Florida, maybe.
Yeah.
Or we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. We have
Yeah.
no concrete plans.
Things
but-
are fluid. And hey, Omar, this is an old friend from high school. Omar,
cool.
this is my wife. You haven't met her. This is Katie. And Big Fat Mama Diary says, "What the hell? I missed the first live chat." Well, welcome to the second live chat. It's okay if you missed the first one. It is on the website, on the YouTube channel. So this one should be a little bit better, I think. Honey, why don't you read those, because I'm having trouble.
Are you having trouble? All right,
seeing the
Erigo
screen.
says, what? You better on heading out to see the eclipse, North Carolina. We still have a few days. We should be able to make it in time. We probably won't leave until the day before, maybe the day before the day before. So
Yeah.
we've got a little ways to go before we start heading out.
Yeah. As long as we make it,
Yeah.
even if we miss
For that, minute window of time.
Yeah,
We're totally good.
there's a 1 minute sort of span of time that the duration will work, where the eclipse will work for. So it is a little bit like, I don't know. It's a good 10 hours drive.
Yeah.
For a 1 minute show.
It's all good.
It's okay. We've done worse than that.
Yeah.
So
audio sounds good. That's awesome.
Good.
Nice to meet you too, Omar. And let's see. Do we have any trips in Florida planned?
Yes.
We do?
Well, first of all, Ponce Inlet.
Oh yeah, Ponce Inlet. We wanted to go to St. Augustine and tour around.
Right. So we mainly the east coast of Florida, definitely.
Yeah.
Do the whole range. Maybe from I'd like to get as high as Amelia Island and go to the fort at Amelia Island. Yeah.
Yeah.
St. Augustine, Ponce Inlet. We know we have family and friends near Ponce Inlet, and then ideally very soon, I hope, get down to the Florida Keys, which is a much longer trip. I mean, not longer than anything we've done before, but it's definitely sort of the Florida trip, right? Go all the way to the end of Key West and sort of enjoy the true tropical side of Florida.
Yeah.
So
and the Keys are lovely.
And the Keys are lovely.
Yeah.
So the bus should look really nice with Key West in the background, which is a plus.
Yep, it should. So let's see. All right, Omar said he sent his mom to our channel. She's looking for do's and don'ts when it comes to traveling. She's planning on getting a trailer home for when she retires. That is super cool. That is an awesome. Hi, Rhonda. How's it going? That is an awesome plan for when she retires. I think my mom is actually doing something similar as well. She's still on the hunt to find the perfect one. But I don't really think there are necessarily a whole lot of don'ts.
Well,
you kind of learn
it depends.
as you go. And
trailer, we've never actually had a trailer.
Yeah.
I would say that there's a great advantage to doing a trailer or even a fifth wheel, and that's that compared to us, if we break down, our entire house
is broken down.
So if we have to take our bus to some sort of a mechanic or dealership or anything like that, you know, we have to take the entire house to the mechanic. Where if you have a trailer or a fifth wheel, you know, that separation between the engine that pulls the trailer or the camper or whatever and the actual living space, that's actually becomes really convenient.
It does, yeah.
To be able to just park, and then if there's something wrong with your truck that you're using to pull or anything, you just take it in, and that doesn't really disturb your home life, where we would have to
we are effectively homeless. Wow. With a dog, which is super fun.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, good times.
Yeah, but that's a really good. That's really cool. I would definitely. I think everybody should at least once, you know, go on a long road trip with a trailer or with an RV or a schoolie like ours. It's just a really great experience.
Yeah. She can also rent them. I know you can rent RVs, like Class C's. I assume Class A's, and you may be able to rent trailers. And so she can always rent them and then do like small trips to sort of work out the kinks, decide what features she wants and what's important, and so that could be a good option to look into beforehand.
Yeah, it's there's really a lot of good options. But Omar, if you have any other questions about that, or if your mom does, is she on here? Has she logged in? Be nice to say hi to her. Why don't you read some of the other questions?
All right, let's see. Don't forget your eclipse glasses. We don't have any, so we need to like jump on that. How are the ACs working? They are fabulous. The back one is doing great. The front one we haven't made the necessary alteration to, but right now we're hooked up to a 15 amp plug and we can't run both of them at the same time with everything else in the bus, so it hasn't really been too much of an issue. And for the most part, we've been able to regulate the temperature just fine, and it stays fairly comfortable. So ACs are doing pretty good. Let's see. Amelia Island, I hear, is great. Yep. Keys are also good. Been in Central Florida all my life. Yeah, me too. But generally, Central Florida or Florida scenery is boring. Oh, I like Florida scenery. I think it's very lovely. You know,
Well,
it's a special place.
What do you mean by scenery, though?
Well,
Because
you know, all of that shrubbiness.
Right, the shrubbiness.
It's great.
It's different. I mean, I think I really like driving through the mountains. I really like driving through the Rockies.
Yeah.
Even the Appalachian Mountains. It's really nice to, you know, to get to the sort of the peak, and you just see, you know, green mountains for forever.
That is
Go out
nice.
to like near Lookout Mountain, near Tennessee and North Georgia. That's really nice.
I get car sick in the mountains, though, so
Well,
that's always fun.
you're in a bus. You're in a bus.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Cassidy says, a friend of mine and I want to go traveling before we start college and our adult life, which is a totally good idea because it gets significantly harder the older that you get. Also from Florida, wanted to know if you need to get a CDL license to drive a bus conversion. You do not need a CDL. CDLs are for commercial vehicles, so if it's a private use vehicle, you don't need CDLs. We basically count as an RV for the state of Florida, and you don't need a special license for that.
There are, if you are from Florida, the quick answer is no.
Yeah.
That's true. However, we've heard that there are some states where if the vehicle is heavy enough,
yeah, it goes by weight instead of,
if it's over 20,000 pounds, that's usually the cutoff for some states. But for the most part, you do not need a CDL license to rent or own or drive an RV, a schoolie, or any motorhome, anything like that. And as long as in the state of Florida, it doesn't even matter how heavy it is. As long as it's a private use, titled as a motorhome, you do not need a CDL.
Yeah. Let's see. Where do we get our bus? We got our bus at auction from govdeals.com. There's also public surplus. We ended up buying from our local school district, which was great because the bus depot was 10 minutes away from us, so that was super good. In terms of maintenance, we should have replaced the tires sooner than we did. So that was something that we should have done a lot sooner. And we have an oil leak that we need to get fixed, but it's small enough to where it's not a big deal. But so basically you're kind of looking at general maintenance like that. If you end up buying from a school district where it was a fleet vehicle, they'll generally provide you with the maintenance records, and so it should give you a clue for what sort of stuff could be a problem. But otherwise you're looking at sort of basic stuff of air filters, oil change, that kind of stuff. Sometimes the buses have been sitting for a while, so you need to check the tires for dry rot. And
so Katie mentioned GovDeals. This is GovDeals. GovDeals is it's a private company. This is a private business, but GovDeals only allows municipal, government entities. Yeah. So these could be government agencies, sometimes federal. Most of them are local school districts and so forth.
Universities, state universities, that kind of stuff.
So, for example, our alma mater, University of Central Florida, they sell all their surplus equipment through GovDeals, which is always neat to look for, different deals, something close by. And so we bought our bus, which we got from the Seminole County School Bus District. School district, sorry. No, it's not a school bus district. But we bought it through GovDeals, and it's basically, if you go to the main page of govdeals.com and you scroll down to buses, I believe, buses, you will see all the buses that are currently out there to buy. And so let's just randomly, click on one.
Kind of expensive right now. We paid $28 plus taxes, so I think it came to just over $3,000 for our bus. It was sight unseen.
But this is a good example.
Standard.
Some of these are definitely more expensive than what we bought ours for, but it's not that different from what we were looking at when we were buying.
Well, it's a way newer bus though.
So this is a 2001 bus that we're showing here, but this is very typical of this one is from, should say which district, or so this is from the Putnam County Board of Education, Tennessee, right? So ideally maybe try to find something that is close to where you live to find a bus, But this is a pretty standard listing. You will see pictures of the bus. They usually show you the damage, just for full disclosure. And there will be some damage in almost all of these buses, because many of them have been on the road for 20 plus years, and so you're going to find, you know, these are not going to be pristine examples of the best buses out there, but you'll get a good sense of what the bus looks like, and usually, you know, you can go through the description. It will tell you how many miles, for example, it has, and that's usually all you have to go on. So the more you know about buses, the more you're comfortable or willing to learn about them, then the better off you will be. But the process is really not that difficult and not that different from buying from, say, from eBay or Amazon or something.
Yeah. So, have we gone to the Keys? I've been to the Keys once when I was younger with all of my siblings, and it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Have you been to the Keys? I've been to the
edge of the Keys. I've been to the very northern tip of where the causeway begins. It's just south. I don't know if that counts. It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't count as the Keys.
I don't think so.
But I mean, I've been close.
Okay.
I've seen the road.
Yeah. So Cassidy says they're planning on getting a smaller bus, not a full size. That's super cool. I'm still working on Mike to get a short bus, but I think a short bus would be adorable.
Yeah, but Katie wants a fleet. She wants us to keep this bus.
Yeah.
And then have a shorter bus.
For like little short trips.
For short trips.
And then we just take a little short bus out. It'd be great. It'd be adorable.
So she wants like the Asphalt Nomad bus fleet.
Oh, alright, so Rhonda's asking, before we go to a destination, do we look up any local mechanics before we get there? No, because we are really terrible about planning our trips. So far we've had 2 surprise breakdowns, I guess. One was an actual proper breakdown in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, and we just called AAA, even though we don't have the one for RVs, and they contacted a diesel mechanic who came out and charged us a discounted rate, and then we needed tires when we were in Mobile. And we got stuck on a Sunday in the deep south trying to find stuff. But no, we don't look up mechanics in advance. We just sort of hope and pray that we don't have any problems when we get there. So that's how we go. It's pretty good.
Well, we don't do that also because there's no way to really anticipate it.
Yeah.
But if we stick to the highways,
there are all of the major truck stops, and they'll do basic maintenance work. Some of them will refuse you if it's a school bus, because they're technically only supposed to work on fleet vehicles, so it's a little hit or miss on that one. But
if you're on an interstate, there will be you know, you'll usually find there's going to be places where on an emergency you can go, and you might be, I think, you know, last in the pecking order because they're supposed to be working for the commercial trucks and not on private vehicles. But you know, if you're in trouble, you know, they'll definitely help you. They could tow you and all that stuff.
And then there's also AAA for RVs, and there's Good Sam, and both of those will send mechanics out to you if you pay for the subscription for it. Yeah. So that's always helpful if there is a breakdown. Let's see, what other upgrades are we wanting to do to the bus? Solar is like the big one.
That's the really big one.
The really big one. We still need water tanks, so water tanks are gonna be another big one. Otherwise,
so just to explain, right? So the water tanks, the reason we don't have water tanks is simply because when we were originally building the bus, that initial sort of cost, although it's not that great, I think you can get decent water tanks, you know, get the full thing set up for maybe $200-300 for a small freshwater tank and a small gray water or black water tanks, but and then installing it and so forth. Maybe you know, between $200 and $400 you could have all that with a pump, and everything will be fine. But that was on top of all the expenditure of buying and building the bus and all that.
And it wasn't a necessity since we were going to a stable location. So.
It wasn't a necessity. So that's why we didn't get it. We didn't do it originally during the original bus build, and so now, you know, it just seems like we're always sort of attached either to an RV park or a
campground
or something, right? And so it
and
hasn't
when
been.
we are on the road, we can make accommodations to work around
Right,
the
and
water situation.
we have water. We have like portable water tanks that we can carry with us. But I just want to say that the solar is different.
Yeah.
Because that's a full investment. That's a
big investment.
You know,
yeah.
To run solar to the extent that we would want to, run our appliances and so forth, we're looking at close to maybe $3,000, $4,000 to start off, and even then we would probably not be able to run certain appliances, or not too many at the same time. We would have to constantly watch it. Most expensive part of that setup would be the batteries.
Yeah.
Batteries are very, very expensive. But that would be the big upgrade, would be the solar system.
Yep. Let's see. So Cassidy asks, are you generally able to trust your description of the bus, or is it sketchy like eBay? I don't think it's sketchy like eBay. I would significantly prefer to buy a vehicle off of GovDeals or Public Surplus.
These are government. Every single one on GovDeals is a government entity.
Yeah.
And the people who are putting the descriptions up are not doing it based on
the profit that they are making. Personally,
they're personally not making any profit from this. And you will notice, because some of them, it will be the bare minimum of information.
Yeah.
Like, here's a bus, here's a picture of a bus, and that's it. And they, from their point of view, they've done their job. They've listed it, and that's it. Also, but if you know for instance, the bus I was looking at earlier, Putnam County Board of Education, for that particular bus. Did I show you guys? Was that viewable before? I don't even know if I was talking about the website and not even showing it to you. But this is the bus that I was looking at before. It's this bus at Putnam County, and the bus, we have all these images and so forth, but we also have the contact information for the school district, and you have this asset contact. You can call them, and actually we didn't know that at the time, but you can call them and ask them questions. One of the biggest questions, one of the main things I would ask is if you can get the maintenance records of the bus, which was a major mistake in our part of not getting it. There was so much going on. I was more worried about driving a school bus, which I had never done in my life before, and driving it home somewhat illegally. That I did at the moment. I forgot to ask for the maintenance records, but you can ahead of time call them and ask them for more information on the bus or the different buses that they have, and furthermore, make sure that they know, especially if you win the bid, to contact them. Let them know ahead of time before you pick it up that you want the maintenance records, so that they have them ready for you. 20 years of maintenance records, if they have them, could take them a little while to put together, but they might very well be willing to do it. So don't think twice about calling and asking questions or anything. Yeah.
All right. So 74 Deeds asked, are you and how often are you refused entry to an RV park? We have been refused entry a few times. It hasn't been major. Usually what'll happen is you get like halfway through making your reservation, and then they ask you what kind of vehicle it is, and we're like, oh, it's a 1996 International. And they're like, what's that? And we're like, it's a school bus. And they're like, no, sorry, we don't accept that here. Or they ask how old it is. They've asked to see pictures. We've had people tell us that they don't want us to downgrade their environment. For the most part, it hasn't been an issue. That tends to be more of a thing at like the resort RV parks that are fancier and more expensive. And they usually have caps on older RVs anyway, and all sorts of other stuff. So it just sort of depends. KOAs have always accepted us. Haven't had an issue at KOA. And state campgrounds, we've never had an issue with. So, it's hit or miss, but
We had one that asked us for pictures.
Yeah.
They wanted to see pictures of. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to see actual pictures of what the bus looked like on the outside, which is, you sort of get used to it.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, we'll find somewhere else. No big deal.
But I should say though, at the RV parks, other people are usually really curious. Mm-hmm. A lot of people who have RVs and are unhappy with RVs, they will sometimes look at our bus and tell us, it's like, wow, I should have done that. And
little kids love it.
Little kids
they think
love
it's
it.
like the coolest thing in the world. But
yeah, we'll be at a gas station, filling up, and with the windows down, and suddenly we'll hear like, "Mom, is that a school bus?" And it's just like, "Oh my God, they live in a school bus." And so that happens a lot.
It's pretty cute.
And it's fun having a schoolie is sort of a weird experience.
Yeah, but it's good.
It's really good.
All right, so Cassidy asked, do you find mechanics for buses are substantially more expensive than for a regular car? Yes, and harder to find. It is, because you need big diesel engine mechanics, and we have had some issues finding mechanics to actually work on the bus, so that has been sort of an ongoing thing that we've been dealing with, but yeah, finding mechanics for it has been kind of an issue, and they are more expensive. Alright, so let's see. Do you have water for the sink when you are... So we only have water for a sink when we're hooked up to an RV park, but on the road itself we do not have running water. That's correct. Right now we don't. We carry portable water containers with us, so we always have fresh water on hand. We just don't have actively running water.
But the fix for that is really simple. I mean, once we have our water tanks in, which we will have a video to explain how we do it once we do it. But there's... All you need is really a small pump, and it's a DC powered pump that ties to the battery. The pumps run between $60 and $100, and the pump it's an inline pump. It just sits between the tank and your pipe, and so really between the cost of the tank and the pump, we could have running water. At any time. Yeah. It's really not that's not a worry to have.
And so let's see. David asks, how fast does our bus go on average? Our top speed...
It's like 100 miles an hour. We are the fastest bus out there. You have no idea.
Our top speed is 59 miles an hour. We can occasionally hit 60 if we're like going down a hill. But we still have the speed limiter, or the governor is still attached to ours, which is an RPM limiter on our bus, and so that caps how fast we can go. On the plus side, we get better gas mileage, and so we get probably 11 miles to the gallon-ish.
We haven't figured out the mileage, but it's somewhere between 11 and 15. We're doing pretty good in miles
it's
per
better
gallon.
Than we thought it would be, for sure. We were anticipating like 6. So.
Yeah. But also we don't get any speeding tickets.
That's true.
There's nothing like knowing that we'll drive cross country with pedal to the metal, and we're not going to get stopped for speeding. Yeah. It's just
it's a very leisurely, relaxed drive, because no one wants to stay behind you, and you just end up with like empty swatches of road. Nobody's going your speed, so
we've learned to just sort of take it easy and not worry about the speed. We're usually not in a hurry.
No, and we're slow
to get anywhere.
So.
There was one time when we tried to make it back to Florida and then back to Texas within one weekend.
Oh yeah, that failed.
And that failed miserably.
So hard.
And there's a video of that called the Pensacola Misadventure. It's on YouTube. You can check it out and get all the little details of everything that went wrong on that trip. But other than that, as long as you're not in a hurry, then there's no reason to be in a hurry.
Yeah. Alright, so let's see. Allie asks, what's your favorite thing about living on the bus, and what is the worst? Favorite thing? Ooh. I don't know. There's a lot of good things about being on the bus.
We have a home and it's paid for.
Yeah, that's really nice. I like that a lot.
We no longer... I mean, we don't have to worry about rent. We have to worry about where do we park, but there's always a place to park. I mean, you may have to drive further out of the city, a little further away, but we have a home.
Yeah.
So, and it's a home that we built ourselves. So that, I don't know, it's this thing where this one big cost of living, which is rent or mortgage or whatever, it's taken care of.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think for me that's the best thing.
I think for me it's the problem solving that it requires. And so through the whole process of getting the bus ready to live in and then continuing to live in it, it's this, you have to figure out how to make things work for you. And so I've learned a lot from the whole process. So, plumbing and how to put floors down and how to build walls and tons and tons of different things that I never needed to know before, and now I do. And so I feel much more capable in my everyday life for problem solving and figuring stuff out and making things work for me and feeling confident in that. So I think that's been sort of the best long-term thing about living in the bus. The worst thing,
it's hot.
I'd say, yeah, temperature control is probably. And if spiders scared me, then the spiders would probably be the worst thing, because we get a lot of spider bros that come into the bus.
Yeah, we have a lot of unintended pets that.
A lot of spiders. But,
a lot of spiders. It seems.
Let's see. Gas mileage, 11 to 15 roundabout, hasn't been an issue.
Just so you know, the original gas mileage of the bus, as per the Seminole County School District, whatever, it was like 7 or 8 miles per gallon. We're doing much better than that.
Yeah, we are.
We're doing, and the reason for that is that 7 or 8 miles per gallon is based on a full school bus with seats and fully packed in with 65 children.
Yeah.
We are much lighter than a full school bus, a school bus at full capacity. So that's a big reason why our gas mileage is so good.
Yeah.
So,
which is nice.
Yeah, so as long as...
we got weighed, and we weigh like 19,500 pounds roundabout there, so we still fall under that 20,000 weight limit that a lot of places have, but for such a big vehicle, we were surprisingly light, which is nice. Let's see. Would we go larger or smaller? I'm wondering how big they should go. Our bus is 35 feet. I don't think I'd want to go any longer. It's already a little hard to maneuver in cities and tight driving corridors, and I think a bigger bus would be a little bit more annoying for that. And I don't think I'd want to go smaller either. Not for permanent living for 2 people and a dog.
I think if we were to go larger, I would want to go with a transit bus.
Oh, the kind that have the accordion thing in the middle.
No,
that's what I want.
Definitely not.
Yes.
No,
oh,
I don't want anything like that.
That'd be kind of cool.
No, but if we were to go larger, I would want it to be more of a transit style or a flat front bus. And that's because moving about is can be difficult with the larger the vehicle is. But I definitely don't want to go smaller. No. I right now we have set up, this is our second build in this bus, and we just finished sort of opening up the space. So this area that's behind me where my hand is, all of this, there used to be a wall right here, and the hallway was maybe up to this far out from the wall that's behind Katy right now. So I would not want to go smaller.
I think that's where RVs and fifth wheels and stuff have a slight advantage because they've got slide outs. And I've heard slide outs are annoying and they leak and they break a lot, but it gives you so much space width-wise that that would be nice.
If I could modify this bus, right, I maybe would add 10 to 12 inches of headroom above. I would raise the ceiling, which is one reason why the transit buses are sort of a better design in a sense, because you have more headroom. But I wouldn't want to to go smaller definitely now.
Yeah, I don't think so. So let's see, Eric. So I'm guessing Florida is not as strict as other states for bus conversions to an RV. It's not. Florida's not very strict about a lot of things. There are certain stipulations and criteria that you have to meet. So we had to have power, water, and a stove, I think. And I don't remember if they wanted all three or if they just wanted some of them, but there was a little form that I had to fill out and check and then sign, and they didn't double check at all. They were just like, okay, we don't need to see pictures, we don't need to see proof, you're totally good, you're an RV now. So Florida is super laid back about that sort of thing. And alright, let's see. Cassidy asked, where do we fill up our water tanks? We don't have water tanks. So for our portable ones, we fill them up from either the tap or a filtered water. We've got a filter on our hose, so before we head out, just whatever campground or house or whatever that we're at, we just fill it up from there and take it with us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually if you're staying at a campground or a RV park or anything like that, remember the water's free, so
yeah.
Before moving, you just fill up whatever you have, whatever you need. I think very early on we made the mistake of leaving without having any water.
Yeah, that was really bad.
That was sometime last year when we did that, and we've never done that since.
Yeah.
Trying to find water out there in the middle of nowhere.
That's potable.
Yeah, that you can drink is actually it's difficult.
Surprisingly difficult.
Yeah, there are certain places where they have the service to fill up water. There are truck stops that have it, but yeah, it's better to just get water where you have it, and which means anytime you stop at an RV park, make sure you fill up.
Yeah. Alright, so Texoma asks, what are our hobbies that we can still do while on the road?
Party.
Yeah.
Drinking. No, we do. We really don't drink at all. But Katie likes beer, so send her a beer. If hobbies, well, Katie makes lots of arts and crafts, and she does puppets.
I do.
So if we will have a puppet will make an appearance in a future episode. We do a lot of things outdoors. We used to be very active. We used to go running. We used to do a lot of sports, a lot of races.
Which we're getting back into slowly.
We're just getting back into. We have a race coming this weekend. We did one last month, July 4th. We're doing one this month. We've got a half
marathon in December that we're going to do.
Half marathon in December. So, we try to be sort of outdoorsy, and we have the dog. And by the way, video games. Katie plays The Sims. I like playing different, strategy games online and so forth. We do have a full computer setup. So we Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't know what other hobbies we might enjoy.
Yeah.
A lot of Netflix.
Yeah, it's good times. All right, so Katie, what about kids? Mikey is not a young chicken anymore.
Who's asking about kids?
That's Omar.
That's Omar. Huh.
Maybe yes.
Is this like a Mystery Loves Company thing, Omar? Is this where it's coming from?
In the future, let's see. Would we prefer to stay on the bus until the child goes to school? I would say maybe, yeah. I mean, I suppose, we'd have to reevaluate if and when we decide to have children. And I don't know, maybe with kids on the bus, it would be like, this is too much. I just can't handle any of this. So,
the only issue with having a baby on the bus at this point in time,
it would be while moving,
is
where do we secure a car seat?
Well,
I think that might be an issue.
I don't think that's a huge issue, but I do think the temperature.
Oh yeah, the temperature could be an issue. We'd have to get that real.
Yeah, in the winter the bus gets cold.
Control.
In the summer the bus gets hot. we would need to...
Babies can't regulate their own temperature very well,
Yeah.
so...
Definitely re-insulating the bus would be a top priority at that point. We've heard of people, you know, with full families and all that living in schoolies. It seems to be just fine. We would need to do certain things about, you know, once the kid grows a little bit older, about, you know, building a bed for them, and
we would.
they would need a place to sleep.
Yeah, we'd have to redo some pretty substantial things in the bus in order to accommodate.
We might have to like lock the windows and make sure that you know he doesn't escape in the middle of the night, and you know.
Yeah, we'd have to take a lot of baby proofing.
Let's say we did not build the bus with a child in mind.
No, we didn't.
So
yeah. All right, let's see. So Mike Johnson asked, "Are you going to sell your house and go full time at some point?" We are full time, and we don't own a house. So
we went full time
in August of last year.
In August of last year, we lived in an apartment up until May of 2016. Then we transitioned to Katy's mom's house, where we sort of lived for a couple of months. Right around that time, June, July, I moved into the bus and started working out the kinks. Katy joined me in August.
Yep.
And so I would say from August forward, we've been living full-time every day in the bus. Like, this is our full house. This is not a weekend warrior thing or anything like that. You know, this is where we sweat, and this is our home.
Yeah, pretty much.
Full-time. Yeah.
So Cassie asked, what's the plumbing and electricity situation? Plumbing, we've run everything with PEX, so we are fully plumbed. We've got a shower and a toilet and sinks and all of that kind of stuff. So all of it is fully plumbed in. We can't use it unless we're hooked up. So, you know, that's just what we've got going on right now. And then electricity-wise, we are set up for 50 amps. We've got the big 50 amp cable and plug and all of that. And the inside of the bus is wired just like a house is. And that's pretty much
now, I did all the wiring myself, so it might catch on fire at some point.
I did a lot of the wiring.
But actually, you did do a lot of the outlets. Almost every outlet in the bus was wired by Katy. Yeah. That's totally true. Did not mean to take that away from Katy. No, because
you know, good sir.
No, because I was getting so frustrated with, you know, the little wires getting in. Anyways, Katy did most of the outlets in the bus, but yeah, we are wired sort of like a house. We have an electrical box in the back of the bus. That box is connected to a 50 amp outlet. The box itself can handle maybe 150 amps. The outlet is a 50 amp outlet, so it's a two-phase box, and we're connected by a 30 foot 50 amp cable, which right now is connected to a 15 amp
so
household
we have a couple
outlet.
steps down to convert it back down.
Yeah, so we're, you know, we could, if we run too much electricity, if we use too many things right now where we're at, we will trip the breaker in the house that we're connected to. So that's kind of a problem. But
occasionally.
Yeah, but once we have our batteries for the solar system, it'll just be a matter of a switch. We will switch to the batteries when we're on the road. When we hook up, we switch to the hookup, and that'll be it. So we're fully prepared to install a solar energy system, and in the meantime, in terms of wiring, it's almost as if somebody were to like just add an addition to their house. We're just an added set of circuits or breakers. That's it.
Let's see. Alright, so Terry Horn says, one thing I'm planning to get is one of the 25-gallon spray tanks for their water. You get a pump in the hose that can be used for your line. I don't know what a spray tank is. We'll have to look into that.
Where do you see them?
Right there.
Oh.
I'll have to look into that spray tank thing, because I don't really know what that is. Do you?
I think the spray tanks, I think, Terry, if you could clarify that, are you talking about the agricultural spray tanks that you could buy at like Tractor Supply? These are sort of
Is that what they're called?
they're sort of round. They have an input in the top, and they're used usually. You pull them in an ATV and you spray from them. If that's what you're talking about, you can do it. Make sure that the plastic itself, whatever the tank is made for, you can use any tank at all of whatever sort of type, but it needs to be safe for drinking water, because water will pick up chemicals from the plastic, and some tanks will. The tank has to say that it is safe to drink out of. It must be good enough for potable water. If it's not, then avoid that tank. Avoid using that, definitely. But otherwise, yeah, you can do that. You could definitely do a spray tank. We've seen people do the blue barrels.
Oh yeah, we've seen a few of those.
Blue barrels, sort of strapped to the bottom and then
like
piped in.
50-gallon barrels or something.
Yeah, like the 50-gallon barrels. We've seen people do that. As long as it's safe for drinking water, you can do it. You could put a bunch of like milk jugs together, and that'll work too. As long as it'll hold water and not leak and be safe to drink from, you can do it, definitely.
Cool. All right, so let's see. Texoma says, do not trap yourselves in the bus with a toddler. It'd probably be a recipe for disaster. All right, let's see. Terry says, I'm the guy that talked about the access doors for insulation for the roof. I have done it yet, or I haven't done it yet. Because I am so curious about that. I would love to see, like, how that works. That would be...
What is it, exactly?
An access door for the insulation.
Oh.
Yeah. Insulation for the roof.
Okay. We talked about that. That was a few weeks ago. Was that in the last? I think that was a comment outside of the stream. But okay, so the idea was to cut open.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of pulling the panels down, to sort of pump the insulation in through by doing
that's cool.
Sort of an access into the panels. I wasn't a huge fan of the idea, simply because of the amount of panels that you would have to access that way. But yeah, I think however, if it leads to more insulation, better insulation, and you can make it look good, I would definitely do it.
Yeah. When we did the bus conversion and we pulled the panels down to get the insulation out, our bus had been sitting for a little bit and things had colonized in the roof insulation, the old roof insulation, so it was super gross. Like, there were these big nests of giant ants that kind of fell from the ceiling when we opened everything up. And because of the way they built their nests and I guess whatever that is they did to the insulation, we ended up having to really get in there and scrape the old insulation off because it was disgusting. So, that could be a thing. But, so, yeah.
Yeah, and keep in mind our bus was a 1996.
Yeah.
We bought it in 2016.
It was old. It was old insulation.
It was old, and the bus had been sitting there for a little while. So we found a mouse on the bus. We found...
the ants were the grossest thing. There were a lot of black widows, actually, in the bus. So.
Yeah, spiders, black widows. It was... so that's why we ripped out the insulation. We sometimes wish we had done it differently. We didn't really know what would be the best way to do it, and I gotta tell you, I've seen a lot of projects online on different YouTube channels. Definitely, I would say a spray foam is probably the best thing to do, but that does require taking down everything, taking down all the ceiling panels, spray foaming it, and then putting new panels up. Which is what we did. We just didn't do a spray foam,
which we should have.
It is kind of pricey.
And then we've got gaps in our insulation. It's just not a good situation. But
and it's not like we saved money. We just didn't have enough money to do it right. If we had enough money to do it right, and we had to do it over again, I would definitely say spray foam all the way.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Would we recommend a washer and dryer? How is the laundry working out? We don't have a washer or a dryer on here. I don't really know about washers, but dryers take up a lot of energy, a lot of electricity. And then washers, we don't have the space for it, so we haven't. We go to laundromats, and yeah, hasn't been an issue. It's kind of the same in that aspect of living in an apartment that doesn't have hookups. So it's yeah. I'm partial laundromats anyway, because you can get everything done in like 2 hours. You're done.
Yeah, we definitely, and most RV parks have their own laundromats.
Yeah, that's true.
So most RV parks, once you're there and you're spending the night, you could very easily just do your laundry and be done with it. So if you spend a lot of times in RV parks, not a problem. The laundry situation does require some management.
Yeah.
And by the way, some people do have washers and dryers in their buses.
And the like real big, and the big like super big RVs, they typically come
the
with
really big Class A RVs. That's one of the features that a lot of them have. However, most of them seem to break. A washer and dryer don't seem to do well in a moving vehicle for very long, but they do have them, and I've seen some schoolies online with full-sized washer and dryers. And that's great. Again, you would never be able to run a dryer, I think, off of batteries in a solar capacity.
No, I don't think so.
So a washer wouldn't be so much of a problem. So you can do it if you have the space.
Yeah. Someone just mentioned combo units, like I've in sailboats. I've never had good luck with the combo units. We had an Airbnb in Spain that had a combo, and it was terrible. It didn't really dry. It was just a really odd thing. So I imagine there are good ones out there somewhere, but
we haven't found a good combo unit that we would use, but they're out there somewhere. People do use them. They do save space by combining both things together. Our experience was that usually you have to keep the loads really small for the combo units to work well. And 2, drying usually took longer using a combo unit for whatever reason. It seems that if it took X amount of time, it might take double that time to dry a load on a combo unit. Your experience might be completely different, and if you
we could have had like the worst, cheapest combo unit out there. I don't
we don't know. So, but again, the drying portion of it is the worst part of it in terms of electricity. And if you can handle not doing that, doing a clothesline is great. But it is possible to live off of hand washing your stuff and putting it out to dry. I know. I'm
not hand washing your stuff.
God forbid. But it's not usually everywhere we go, we found laundromats really easily, and laundry is not so much of an issue, other than where do you put the dirty stuff? Like, keeping it from covering the floor.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Good times. So let's see. All right, Ellie asked, how well does the bus handle bad weather? It does pretty good with bad weather. I don't like being in storms in the bus. It feels like there is not very much separating us from the outside. But in the event of like regular thunderstorms and lightning storms and heavy rain and stuff, it does just fine. Really, really severe weather, I would not want to be in the bus. So, but otherwise, it does just fine. So.
Yeah, I think we do have a small leak.
Our hatches,
in one of our hatches.
It's pretty common.
So we get some water in every now and then. As far as safety is concerned, I feel very safe in the bus. We are, just like in a car. If lightning strikes, you're pretty much safe. As long as your tires are on the ground and you're you're not directly touching the metal. You know, most of us, everything you see around us, we're actually surrounded by wood, which is surrounded then by metal on the outside. So I'm not worried about electrical, you know, shock through lightning or anything like that.
No, and actually the bus becomes a Faraday cage by itself, and it will disperse the electricity around it.
Right. The windows are shatterproof.
That's true.
So hail is not something I'm worried about. The roof of this bus has probably been through 100 hailstorms already. Not under us, but I'm saying in its lifetime of 20 plus years in Florida. So I don't think I'm not too worried about bad weather on the bus.
The roof can take a beating. We had a really big tree limb fall on it when we were in Texas, and it's totally fine. It didn't dent it at all. It's just, you know, it was a big limb. But
so I feel very comfortable. It is noisy. If there's a lot of rain, a lot of hail, you will hear every drop fall on the metal roof, which can be nice at the same time.
True.
So as long as you're not leaking water through the roof, and you're not facing a tornado, I think it's very safe.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, so let's see. My Johnson said, I thought about getting a school bus, but most RV parks won't let them in. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I don't want to stay at trailer parks where they are allowed. It's hit or miss with the RV parks, but not all of them turn us away. And I think we mentioned it before, but KOAs have always accepted us. They've never asked questions. They've never been displeased about the bus situation. I've seen there was one in Texas, it was like a transit bus, an old Greyhound, that was there at the same time. So KOAs, which are very numerous across the country, always let school buses in. So I'd say if the RV parks are like the deciding factor, it's not as bad as it seems. It's really, you run into more issues when you're trying to get into the really nice like resort RV parks. That's where most of them are going to be like, no. So
yeah, if an RV park is in a position where they have few spots,
and they've got wait lists,
then you'll find that they'll have wait lists, and it's not just schoolies, just old RVs.
Old RVs,
they'll turn down. I know that the first RV park we were in Texas, who did not understand that we had converted a school bus and were not happy with us being there with a school bus, by the way.
Yeah.
But
they would not let us extend our stay.
They would not let us extend our stay, but they had already accepted our reservations.
Yeah.
So they let us stay for the week that we were there. That RV park did not accept RVs that were older than 10 years. So, and if you think about that, a 10-year-old RV...
It's not that old.
It's not that old, and really, at 10 years old, it hasn't been paid for. Most people who buy RVs are financing those things. At 10 years, chances are most of them have not paid for their RV. And so some RV parks are in a situation where, you know, they have the luxury of limiting the parking spots to, you know, what they would rather see. But yeah, KOAs are very sort of laid back.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed every single one we've
it.
stayed at, and they've never said no to us.
Yeah.
So.
Which is good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And then campgrounds, like state campgrounds, they've always accepted us as well. And a lot of those are, you know, great. You're like right on the water, or, you know, in your forests and that kind of stuff. So those are always really accepting as well. Let's see. Texoma says, spiders freak me out. How did y'all guarantee all the black widows and their babies were killed before you moved into the bus? Most of the black widows were underneath the seats where the corners are. That's where black widows really like to nest. And so when we pulled the seats out, we destroyed most of the nests. And once we pulled the seats out, we pulled the floor out, we took the walls out, we took all of the insulation out. We really stripped the bus down entirely. So nothing was left in the bus, and nothing could stay in the bus without us noticing. So just by default of the deconstruction process, we got rid of all of them.
And the other answer is that I moved into the bus about a month before Katy did, and I did not get bit. So
Because there were no spiders in here.
right.
Black
But I'm
widows
saying
specifically.
that's how we made sure that a month of me living on the bus did not result in,
yeah.
you know, a black widow.
Yeah. And actually,
Back
for
or
as much as we have spiders in the bus, none of them have ever touched me. So a few nights ago, I was at my mom's house, and I woke up in the middle of the night to a spider crawling up my shoulder. So that was super exciting. That's in a big regular house, but none of them have actually attempted to crawl into bed with me in the bus, so that's good.
Good.
Yeah.
I just want to, you know, last week we did this. I'd like to do it again. If anybody out there has their own channel, if you have a schoolie and you want to share your project, if you have a website or a channel name that you would like us to sort of promote while we're live here, go ahead and put it in the chat. Let us know what your channel name is, and we'll try to bring it up on the screen.
We love seeing other buses and what other people do with their schoolies. It's just, there are so many options, and they all look so different. It's just super cool.
Yeah, and this is a learning process. There are no expert school bus converters, right? There's people who've done it. There's people who've done it more than once,
yeah.
But they've only know their buses. You know,
I'm pretty sure we follow someone on Instagram who is like a professional converter.
Yeah, that just means he'll charge other people to let them. Nobody's an expert in this, and so all the time we see new ideas, better ideas,
yeah,
all of the time. And so, if you have a channel that you want to share, please put it in the chat, and we'll take a look at it.
Yep.
How much does a night at KOA cost? How much does it?
Usually it's 40 to 45.
It will depend largely on
location
of that
and
KOA.
Season.
And season. Very good. And day of the week. So weekday versus weekend, those are different rates. And then tourist season for wherever you're at. So here in Florida, unfortunately, that's almost year round is tourist season. So
and the KOAs here are close to the parks, so, you know, Disney and Universal and Islands of Adventure, and they're always crowded.
The RV park we were at, mostly in Texas, was only a mile away from Cowboy Stadium, and so every time there was a big game, you know, so every weekend, roughly, the cost of staying there just sort of ballooned up every weekend during the football season.
Yeah.
During the rest of the year, didn't seem to be an issue.
I'd say on average 40 to 45.
Yeah, so. I'd say that's a good average. $40 to $45 a night, maybe $175 to $200 for the week, and then they have
and they have monthly sometimes.
Monthly, depending.
Different ones do.
Yeah, I was looking at I think it was the KOA up in New York State, outside of Syracuse, not long ago. Their monthly rate is about $900 a month, where the monthly rate at the park we were at in Arlington, Texas, was about $550 a month.
Yeah.
That difference has a lot to do with the local economics of Syracuse, New York versus Arlington, Texas. So that's also something that you have to sort of keep in mind, that you may be traveling through either a particularly touristy area or even at a point in time when that area has a lot of visitors.
Yeah.
And then all of that might play into the price.
All right, so 74 said, my current plan is to coat the roof with the bedliner paint and then RV roof coating for the white. I'm hoping that would cut down on the noise some. I bet that would. For rain and stuff hitting the roof. Because the bedliner is kind of plasticky, so I think that would actually probably cut down on the noise. Maybe in the heat, too. That would be nice.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
That would be
I didn't
interesting
think about doing that. Yeah. All right, let's see. My Johnson asked, do you have a problem with your AC blowing the 15 amp circuit breaker in the house where we're parked? Nope. If we're running one, we never have an issue with it. If we're running two and trying to cook, then we'll blow the circuit breaker.
The biggest thing with any big appliance like like the air conditioner, especially anything that has a burner of some sort, a heat coil or anything like that, is the startup amperage, right? So your coffee maker, for example, is constantly just getting hotter and hotter as it brews your coffee, and then it stops, right? So it's this momentary period of heating up that sort of makes your coffee maker one of the biggest draws of electricity. An air conditioner as well, right? When you first turn on the air conditioner, that ramp up is the one that draws the most electricity, and so you could very easily go from a 4 amp draw, which is the average draw, up to a 12 amp draw just by turning it on. You know, that initial turn on will spike up to about 12 amps and then calm down.
Yeah, he does go on to say that when he connects his RV to his house outlet, the AC runs for a little bit and then pops the breaker. That probably has more to do with just how strong your AC is. The roof units, I think, are stronger than our window units.
Our window unit is 5,000 BTUs, and it draws 4 amps.
Yeah.
If you know how many amps you're drawing, you
could just be overloading.
Real simple, you can't draw more than 15 amps. Maybe you can get away with 20 amps, but if you're plugged into a household outlet, you can't go over 15, which means that if your rooftop AC is pulling around 6 amps, if that's it's rated at a 6 amp, that means when you turn it on, it cranks up at roughly 18. And that could be blowing your breaker.
Well, his issue is it runs for a little bit and then it blows the breaker.
That could also be...
Well, because I guess it would cycle.
It would cycle.
And so when it turns itself back on to start the cooling process again, that's when it could.
Yeah. Or usually any motor, any generator or electric motor usually has a period of during the cycle, but it could take a few minutes to get your AC up to its proper speed, and it could take it that long to I would say this rule of thumb is, if it is your AC, and it could be anything else. Remember, your coffee maker, a toaster oven, anything in particular, especially if it has any kind of heating coil, will very easily trip your breaker, especially if you're already running something like an AC as the base draw from that breaker. So, but yeah, I would look at the amps. If you can multiply the amps of your AC times 3, and it is over your 15 amp limit or 20 amp limit on your household outlet, it's probably your AC. If it's not, there's something else that is pulling.
Oh, actually, which 74D just mentioned. Try to make sure you're connected to a circuit that isn't being used inside. That's a really good point, because we were hooked up to a different outlet for a little bit, and it happens to be the same one that, like, my parents have this electric golf cart thing, and it charges on that, and so if that hit its charging cycle at the same time that we were running RCs, it would trip the breaker. So we had to switch until we found a different outlet that was on its own little circuit.
Yeah, and that also goes if you're running. We can actually run the bus off of a generator, in the same way that we can plug the bus into a household outlet. We can plug into a generator, either 15, 30, or 50 amp generator.
We have a 30 amp generator.
Right, the generator we have has a 30 amp outlet that we can plug into, and we ran that just fine for a good. I don't know. Last time we did it, we ran for maybe 3 hours or something.
Not like a half thing of gas.
Yeah,
Cool.
and it was great. So if you have a generator, that's also another way to power the bus. Much cheaper than a solar battery system.
Yeah. Alright, so let's see. Allie asked, once you have the water tanks and solar panels, how long do you think you can go without plugging in somewhere and or refilling the water tanks?
Once we have the water tanks.
I'm not sure. I think we'd have to experiment a little bit with the water tanks, because I'm not positive of what our daily usage is.
In both cases, right, it comes down to capacity. So you know, the batteries and the water tanks is all about, you know, how quickly do they fill up, and how quickly do we empty them. When it comes to the water tanks, that's easy. The bigger the water tank, 2 people. Let's say if we were to use at least, let's say generously 4 or 5 gallons each per day. I think we would do less than that, but
seems really conservative.
But I think in any case it would have to be conservative, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're each using, let's say 5 gallons, then that's 10 gallons per day. So if we want a tank that'll last us, you know, a full long weekend, let's say without refilling, let's say 4 days, then that would be 40 gallons.
Yeah.
Is that right? 40-gallon tank would take us 4 days. But no matter what, you have to conserve. I mean, we would have to take short showers, make sure that we don't run the we don't run the faucet for unimportant things like washing dishes. We might want to make sure that we conserve water, that we wash dishes out in like a basin, do like a soapy water basin, and scrub the dishes first, and then rinse them all together or something like that. So there's different strategies where we can stretch it, but it really just comes down to how big the water tanks are, and how much of that water weighs a lot.
That's true. It does.
Yeah, I forgot what the conversion is.
Sure.
Of gallons to pounds in weight, but water weighs a lot, and if you're traveling with full water tanks, you are traveling with a lot of dead weight, and it's dead weight that rolls with the shifting of the bus as you're going down the road. So the bigger your tanks, the more unstable the bus, in a sense, unless you're very careful about where you put the tanks and all that. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind to do it right. I'd say.
The short answer is we don't know.
Short answer is we don't have the experience to know exactly what the right answer is at this point, but we know what we're going to have to deal with.
A gallon of water is 8.3 pounds.
That is correct. That is the right number. I remember that now. So if you have 40-50 gallons of water,
that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, I mean that's another human. That's a fat human. That's another me riding in the bus. So,
right, so Mike Johnson says you stay off grid for 2 weeks before you have to dump his black tank. How big is your tank? Like, I'm actually really curious about that.
Yeah, Mike Johnson? How big is your tank, and how many people are with you?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go 2 weeks. What's that say?
That's using 300 watts of solar for TV and small electronics, and you can run AC off of solar. Yeah. Okay.
Black tank is 18 gallons.
18 gallons? Oh. It's a lot smaller than I thought it would be. That's pretty cool, though.
It also helps if you have a leak in the... No, I'm just kidding.
That's gross. And also, I'm fairly certain that's illegal.
Driving down the road and the black tank just becomes lighter as we drive.
That is gross.
And so that's for himself. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense, because I think if by myself, I think it would be easy to work on a small amount of water but we also have a dog, and we have 2 people. Yeah. And there's cooking, there's all kinds of water use. Yeah. And when you don't have water,
it's annoying.
It is the most annoying, most horrible thing to be in the middle of somewhere and have no access to water. Yeah.
And that's when truck stop showers become like the best thing ever.
So, my Johnson says water is the limiting factor to staying off the grid.
I believe it. The
yeah.
electricity I wouldn't be so concerned about, especially with solar, because it would replenish itself. But the water, I could see that being a real big issue.
And to clarify, we thought the electricity was going to be a huge issue for us.
Oh, we did, yeah.
When we started the build, we were very concerned about how much electricity things were going to take, and whether we needed to replace all of our appliances with, replace them all with RV appliances, which are 3 times more expensive. And we did not. We don't have any RV appliances. All of our appliances are household appliances.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is electricity is comparatively cheap.
That's true.
Our bus, even when we have everything running except for the ACs, but even if we have one AC, we can run everything off of one 15 amp breaker, which means that we're basically we have the same electrical capacity as your bedroom in a typical apartment, right? If you have a breaker box, and that breaker box you have living room for one breaker, that's how much electricity. So if you can imagine how many things you can plug into a single bedroom at your house, that's exactly the same amount of capacity we have before we trip the breaker. And so what really we're talking about is one bedroom using as much electricity as possible, and then the cost of electricity is about 12 cents a kilowatt.
No
I think
idea.
last time, that at the last KOA we were at, that's what we were being charged. So our electric bill usually was around $20-30 at worst, in the middle of winter or the heat of summer. It was about $60.
No, actually, we were super low in the summer. We didn't have air conditioning last summer.
That's true, actually. So with the room heaters, the portable heaters, in the middle of summer,
In the middle of winter.
in the middle of winter, we were spending about $60 on electricity, and that means that's per month. That really just means that it's the solar. Getting solar is not a cost-effective thing for us at the moment. We do want solar. We plan to do solar. We will have solar, but it doesn't save us money to switch to solar. It doesn't. There's a large.
But it would make things easier.
It would
wouldn't
make
have to be worried about
things.
hooked up,
It would make things easier, but there's an investment involved that right now it's easier to not make that investment. And it just so happened that because we stay at so many RV parks, electricity has been cheap.
Yeah.
And again, if you're only staying at an RV park for a day or a week, you're not going to get charged electricity. But if you're staying at an RV park for a month, if you're doing a long-term stay or anything like that, you will pay a separate electric fee apart from the stay.
Yeah, from the site.
Yeah, the site itself.
We're caught up.
Yeah. If you're going to go off grid, save money, you pretty much have to have solar.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I want to go off the grid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Be a little nomadic ghost.
Well, like he said, you can't go. You can't run AC off of solar.
Yeah.
But what it is you can't really run AC off of the batteries because of the effect that the AC has on the battery. There's ways to mitigate that. You could put in a slow starter to the AC. There are ways to do that, but it is bad for it is essentially bad for the batteries to be, I don't know, treated like that by the batteries. So I want to ask one more time if anybody has a channel that they want to show off and tell us about, we'd be happy to plug it in. And we have another question from Allie. What's it say?
What are some of your projects for the near future? We've got some painting to do. We need to fix the floor, where we took some walls out. We need to finish the bathroom. And And then otherwise, it's sort of minor cosmetic things that we've got planned, but in terms of big stuff, we are actually looking pretty good. So
yeah,
yeah.
There's the bathroom is really the only
The
major
big thing, yeah.
that we have to do, and apart from that, I'd like to get a fresh paint job
On the outside.
Yeah, on the outside.
That'd be nice.
but other than that, we'll be hitting the road pretty soon. We'll, no other projects to hold us back. Tired. But you know, we've been talking for about an hour and 20 minutes. I want to let you know that we really appreciate your time and your questions, and if you have any more questions, definitely drop them in, let us know. We are always sort of answering questions from everyone on all of our videos. We have another comment from Anthony. What's that?
Hello, just bought a bus and cleared seats out. Going to start soon. We are also in Central Florida. Love your channel. Awesome, thanks, and good luck with your conversion. They are, you know, it's hot in Central Florida right now. So
as you can see, so we are. I just looked at the feed and we are glistening,
getting a little sweaty,
glowing. We're glowing. We have we did turn off the air conditioner, just so you know. The air conditioner is off. We turned it off at the very beginning of the stream, just to make sure that the air conditioner would not interfere with the audio. If you want to read any of those.
Omar says, "Stay safe and cool. Sorry, Katie. I know how hard it is to live with him in such close quarters."
So Omar, who was my roommate back in college. Omar was actually my first roommate, first semester freshman year.
Yeah.
Omar and I lived together, but apart from that, Omar and I knew each other from high school. So Omar went to the same high school that I went to, and that means that it's the same high school that Katie went to. So you know, Omar, you know, she is one of the good ones. So
thanks. Appreciate that. Let's see. Matt Parker says, "What about using an AC from the telecom industry designed to run off of 48-volt DC?"
48 volts?
I have no idea.
I don't know why. Now, when you say telecom industry, I'm wondering if you mean something meant for a sort of like a server system, a computer server. Is that what we're talking about, Matt? Please let me know. Let's see.
Let's see. Okay, we'll wait it out. So Kelsey asked, one question: if I want to buy a bus, this comes from a European. They don't have schoolies there. Should you buy a double-decker bus or a normal bus? Double-deckers are super cool, so I'd go double-decker if I were you. But I guess it's personal preference on that one.
Well,
so much living space, though.
It's more than just personal preference, though, because if we had a double-decker...
Oh, we'd have issues with overpasses here.
Yeah, we would...
We're not designed for double-deckers.
Here in Florida, you would be unable to drive... you would be unable to drive without running into something.
Yeah. But there, if they can already accommodate double-deckers.
If you're in a place that where double-deckers are a thing, then by all means, get a double-decker. In the state of... in the East Coast... you typically want to stay under 13 feet in height, and...
Yeah, we have a lot of low overpasses.
Yeah, most of the interstates in the U.S. is about 13 feet, the height maximum. In the East Coast, you will find more shorter overpasses. The clearances will be shorter in some cities, especially older cities. So, you know, up in the Northeast or old southern cities like Savannah, you might run into problems with low overpasses. So a double-decker I would avoid personally because of that.
Oh, I'd go double-decker all the way.
if you're not planning on driving through old towns and things like that, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Unless they already have double deckers. In which
Yeah,
case, double decker it up.
If you have double deckers in your town and then you could use the double decker.
They're pretty cool.
But here you would run into every street light, like every traffic light. You would just hit him with a double decker.
It'd be fun. Good times.
Yeah.
Let's see. Craig asks, have you ever thought about living in New Mexico or Arizona, where you can use a swamp cooler instead of an AC? No. I have not particularly.
Well, I have, because we
Yeah.
talked about going to see my sister.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And-
That's true.
And we did drive through. We've been to New Mexico. We've been to Carlsbad.
Mm-hmm. But
We've
it was
been
very cool over
to
there.
Roswell, and it was cool when
Yeah.
we were there.
Kind of in the winter.
No, we went there. It was the elevation that made it cool.
Oh.
It was actually summer. It was August, September. It was September.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but would we use a swamp cooler? The answer would be no, not unless we were planning to stay there. But because both of our families are in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and most of my friends and family are East Coast and Gulf Coast, a swamp cooler would not work.
Here.
yeah.
No, it would not.
It's just a swamp cooler. For those of you from the East, a swamp cooler is the thing that they use out west that works by introducing moisture to the air. So it actually it makes the air more humid, so it's cooler, and that would not work in a place where the air is already at 90+% humidity. New Mexico and Arizona, where the ambient air is at 5% humidity or 0,
I don't know.
a swamp cooler works great, but not in Florida, unfortunately.
Yeah. Let's see. My John says, if you're serious about solar, check the channel called Love Your RV. He copied their solar setup verbatim. And a well-built solar system will cost about $3,000. That's, yeah, about what we were figuring. But we'll check them out for sure. He says there's no AC we can run off of solar. It pulls too much. It'll kill our batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it'll be a thing.
Yeah, and somebody said, somebody mentioned an industrial telecom cooler. I think that was Matt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I meant for remote applications. I know it's designed to cool small spaces. There are videos from people here in YouTube.
Check those out.
It's definitely the way to go, right? So a 48 volt, that would be DC voltage, I imagine, that those telecom ACs would work at. That could work if it's an AC that's specifically meant to work with batteries of some sort or DC current. There is a fix for this, right? I mean, the space shuttle has an air conditioner running off of batteries, right? So there is a way to do this. The submarines run air conditioners based off of batteries. So this isn't a brand new problem to have in a school bus. It's just that
Take some finagling.
yeah, I mean your car has an engine, that's a different thing. But in other words, this is not a thing that this is the first time that people have to deal with this problem. It's just that a regular solar setup will not work to run your AC, and unless you're willing to make some major investments, and chances are you will destroy your batteries in the long run, if not immediately. So
Well, let's try not to do that. That would be good.
let's try not to do that.
Yeah.
So,
So Anthony asked, did we go through a company to design it, or do we do it ourselves in regards to solar? We don't have solar yet, so
yeah, we're not there yet.
yep, we are not there. And then he also asked, how often do we move around? It kind of varies depending on what we are in the middle of.
Yeah.
Like, we have been stationary for a little bit because we've been doing a fairly serious round of renovations to the bus.
Yeah, so right now we've been 2 months stationary.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to start moving again, but we were doing renovations. Before this, we
We were largely stationary for like 4 or 5. No, actually,
No,
it was longer than that.
we did one golf trip, the one on the way here.
Mm-hmm.
We did two Pensacola trips, right?
New Mexico.
There was New Mexico, and actually last year that was Florida and back for me. That was 6 times.
Yeah.
So that was fall 2016.
Tedious. Yeah.
So.
But we were largely stationary for that because Mike was still finishing up some school stuff. So.
Yeah. So
it's kind of depended on.
There's a thing called the hub and spoke method of travel, which is put your bus or your RV at a particular location, and then you use a daily driver to then spoke out from that location to go to different places, right? And so our hub location was in Arlington, Texas. And then from there we did a number of trips right to New Mexico, Florida, went to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We drove through through Oklahoma. We did south through Texas down to the Mexico border, around the Gulf Coast. So all of that was largely by using either Florida or Texas as our hub to do those long trips. But we are probably going to do more of a chain set of trips. In other words, we're talking about doing the eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at doing something in maybe New York for our anniversary, at least. We've been talking about doing a trip to Canada. So far it looks like we're looking at a northern trip that might turn into a western trip across Canada, at least for a little bit.
That'd be fun.
Maybe down into the Midwest of the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And then go west across to the northwest of the U.S. So we might do sort of big sky country, Montana, Wyoming, all that into one. So we've been sort of hub and spoke, and now we're sort of transitioning into more daily, sort of move forward type of travel.
Yeah. So let's see. Matt asked, have you modified your schoolie engine by using HHO gas production or synth gas? And what about biodiesel or veggie oil? We have not, but we have been looking into it, specifically with the vegetable oil. But we have not actually done any modifications to our engine.
Any diesel engine will work with vegetable oil, right? So usually you want to treat the vegetable oil, make sure that it's not full of particulates, make sure that it is, it's something that you're willing to put into your tank and your engine, and you may want to flush out
filtering thingies, don't they?
Yeah, and you could mix it in with the diesel. Veggie oil has more viscosity. It's kind of thicker, so it burns differently in the system itself. But ultimately, if you have a diesel engine, you can run vegetable oil with no actual modification. We haven't done it though. And we've
just read about other people doing it.
Yeah, and we have not done any modifications to our engine. Mainly, we do need to do some maintenance, but we haven't needed any major maintenance. And at this point, the engine runs great, and I don't want to break something that's working great right now. I think if the engine fails, we might look into upgrading the engine, doing other things to the engine that we might have to do anyways, because it's necessary at this point. And
see, Anthony says someplace cooler. Yes, please, because it is so hot. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, going north.
Yeah. All right. So Matt says a friend of his in high school took veggie oil and ran it in his 1997 F350 dually diesel. He installed a second tank and fuel line and filter and routed the radiator tubing through the tank. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it's viscosity, and then heating it reduces the viscosity. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The problem is once you turn off the engine and that vegetable oil is in the system, right? If it will congeal, much like any oil. Any like vegetable oil and all that.
But it doesn't really get solid, so.
No, not really. Not unless you leave it there for a long time, and if you use some sorts of oil, some kinds of oil are, you know, thicker, much thicker than the oil that you use in a car or a bus or a truck. And so they will react differently. So yeah, there's it's definitely an option for us if we're stuck somewhere in the middle of nowhere without any oil, without any fuel. I'd be more than fine with going to the nearest restaurant and just begging for oil, or, you know, finding the grease trap in the back and, you know, draining it or something.
And then we got to filter and do a whole bunch of anyway.
Yeah, but if we need fuel, we need fuel.
So Kelsey says, another question. I remember seeing a video where you guys were saying that you didn't do the insulation properly. If you plan to do it, would you consider lifting the roof? Yeah. I would consider lifting the roof. Especially if we were going to pull all of this out and redo the insulation and remove the whole ceiling. Yeah, I would look into raising the roof. I've seen a lot of other schoolie projects that have done it, and it doesn't look easy, but it doesn't look impossibly hard either. So, yeah. Matt says, right, just run fossil through it before you turn it off.
So, yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, add more diesel to the engine, yeah, just flush it out. You could use mineral spirit, I think, also mineral oil. That is awesome. All right, guys, it is an hour and 35 minutes into the stream. So at this point, once again, thank you very much for your support. Please subscribe to the channel. We will do this again next weekend, next Sunday. We will do it. We will for the improvement we will make next weekend is I will fix this lighting situation, because it seems like I'm having like a really long good idea back there. So we'll fix the lighting situation. We will fix the airflow situation, because Katie and I are sweating here, and we'll see you soon. We do have a couple of videos coming out very soon, and once again, you know, subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends about us, and you know, ask us any questions at any time. Just come to the YouTube channel.
We're fairly active on it, so you know, we check pretty much every day for comments. So yeah.
And, you know, check out our Facebook. Join us on Facebook. Join us on Instagram, and I don't know, Twitter. I guess maybe. We barely use Twitter, but
I have like 2 tweets.
So yeah, definitely thank you for joining us, and see you guys next Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Bye.